On July 2, 2026, as the World Cup round of 32 plays out across 3 countries and 16 cities, the conversation in football is about players, tactics, and which teams are still alive. Kylian Mbappe's goal tally, Messi's age, whether England will finally do something, the usual. But there is one man who has shaped more of what you're watching this summer than almost anyone else in the sport. And he isn't on the pitch, isn't in a dugout, and almost certainly isn't attending a single World Cup match. He is a 79-year-old civil engineer from Madrid, sitting at the center of a construction empire worth tens of billions of euros, who also happens to have spent 25 years turning a football club into the most financially powerful sports institution on the planet. His name is Florentino Pérez. He is the president of Real Madrid. And his story, the full story including the part he lost, is one of the most instructive case studies in sports business of the last quarter century. Today, we break it down from the beginning. Welcome back to the Celebs Mindset. Let's start where the modern version of this story starts. Not with a trophy, not with a transfer, but with a renovation. Between 2019 and 2024, Florentino Pérez oversaw the most ambitious stadium transformation in football history. The Santiago Bernabéu, already one of the most storied venues in world sport, home to 15 Champions League trophies and 36 La Liga titles, was essentially rebuilt from the inside out. The total cost reached 1.347 billion euros, nearly 3 times the original budget estimate, driven by decisions Pérez insisted on personally. A retractable roof that closes in under 20 minutes, a retractable playing pitch stored on 6 underground layers, a 360-degree LED screen encircling the entire seating bowl, 200 VIP skyboxes at 50,000 euros per annual subscription, and a facade of metallic steel capable of projecting images visible from across Madrid. The result is a building that doesn't function as a football stadium. It functions as a year-round commercial entertainment complex that occasionally hosts football. Real Madrid now aims for 365 events per year, not just the 25 or so home matches of a typical football season, but concerts, NFL games. The league signed a deal to return to the Bernabeu for multiple games through 2028, NBA exhibitions, corporate conventions, and cultural events. The stadium's projected annual revenue sits above 400 million euros. The club became the first in football history to exceed 1 billion euros in total annual revenue, reaching 1.185 billion euros in the 2024-25 season. When you finance a 1.3 billion euro renovation and the stadium pays for itself while generating hundreds of millions in annual surplus, you have built something that transcends a football club. You have built a financial institution with a football team attached, and Pérez didn't do it by following the conventional sports business playbook. He did it by being willing to take on debt that would terrify most club presidents, and by having a sufficiently long time horizon to trust that the infrastructure would generate returns even before the renovation was complete. As of early 2026, Real Madrid carries over 1 billion euros in outstanding loan debt related to the Bernabeu. The club's total liabilities sit above 1.78 billion euros, and yet Sportico valued Real Madrid at $6.53 billion in May 2026, the highest valuation of any sports team in the world. While Pérez himself believes the club is worth closer to 10 billion euros, his response to the debt? Not cost-cutting, but expansion. He announced plans to sell a minority stake of up to 10% in a newly created commercial subsidiary, not in the club itself, which remains owned by its 100,000 member socios in a non-profit structure, but in the commercial entity that manages sponsorships, stadium operations, events, and marketing rights. It's a genuinely novel financial structure for a club of this type, private investment into the commercial engine, while the sporting institution remains member-controlled. Now let's talk about the battle Pérez fought for 5 years and the specific complicated way he lost it. In April 2021, Pérez became the first publicly announced president of the European Super League, a proposed breakaway competition featuring 12 of Europe's biggest clubs, guaranteed permanent slots regardless of sporting merit, designed to rival and potentially replace the UEFA Champions League. The project collapsed within 48 hours. 9 of the 12 clubs withdrew immediately under pressure from fans, governments, and football associations. Manchester City left first. The English clubs followed. Juventus held on for 3 years before withdrawing in 2024. Barcelona stayed until February 2026. Real Madrid was the last club standing. Pérez stayed not because he had a functioning coalition, he didn't, but because the legal position was stronger than the political one, and he knew it. In December 2023, the European Court of Justice ruled that UEFA and FIFA had contravened EU competition law by blocking clubs from joining rival competitions. This was the legal vindication Pérez had been pursuing for 2 years. It meant that the institutional threats, the sanctions, the attempted expulsions, the entire pressure campaign UEFA had used to shut down the Super League had all been, in the court's view, an abuse of a dominant market position. Real Madrid and A22, the Super League's commercial arm, pursued a damages claim of roughly 4.5 billion euros from UEFA. And then, in February 2026, just 3 days after Barcelona's withdrawal left him standing alone, Pérez settled. Real Madrid and UEFA released a joint statement, an agreement of principles for the well-being of European club football. The Super League project was over. How you read that ending depends on what you think Pérez was actually trying to achieve. The settlement resolved the legal disputes. It produced no published compensation figure. It produced no breakaway league. Pérez framed it as a foundation for future reform, noting that the club's right to organize competitions had been legally recognized and that the option to seek damages remained. Critics called it a hollow exit from an untenable position, a man who won in court but had no players, no clubs, and no viable competition to actually launch. The more balanced reading is probably this: Pérez spent 5 years fighting a legal and institutional battle that permanently changed the leverage dynamic between elite clubs and football's governing bodies. The ECJ ruling that UEFA abused its dominant position is real, it is precedent-setting, and it will shape how football's power structures negotiate with each other for years to come. That outcome stops well short of the revolution Pérez promised in 2021, but it isn't nothing either, and ultimately it may not matter much because the thing Pérez built while the Super League fight was happening, the Bernabeu, is the real source of Real Madrid's lasting power. Here's the structural reality of the 2026 football landscape. Pérez's Real Madrid doesn't need a Super League to hold institutional leverage over UEFA, FIFA, or the World Cup. It holds that leverage by employing Kylian Mbappé, Vinicius Jr., and the best roster in club football. It holds it because the Bernabeu is the most commercially valuable stadium in the sport. It holds it because Real Madrid is worth more than any other sports team on the planet, and because the players wearing their jerseys are the most watched athletes in this World Cup. FIFA organizes the tournament. Pérez owns much of the labor that makes the tournament worth watching. That's not extortion. It's just leverage, accumulated methodically over 25 years by a civil engineer who understood long before anyone else that football clubs weren't sports franchises. They were media and entertainment companies that happened to own stadiums and pay footballers. If you built the best stadium and signed the best players and protected your commercial rights more aggressively than anyone else, the world's governing bodies would have no choice but to negotiate with you as a peer. Was Florentino Pérez's approach, the Galacticos era, the Bernabeu renovation, the Super League fight, the commercial restructuring, a masterclass in long-term institutional strategy that has permanently reshaped football's power dynamics? Or did his willingness to pursue profit over sporting tradition, culminating in the Super League project, prove that the corporatization of elite football has gone so far that even its most powerful operators eventually overreach? Drop your take in the comments and subscribe to the Celebs Mindset for more honest breakdowns of the real figures and strategies shaping global sport. We'll keep decoding the minds that move the culture.